Subscribe. MTL World at Mythal World 1 YouTube channel. Swallowed Star 2. Origin Continent. Volume 7. Zhuhei Holy Realm. Chapter 276 Theft and Anti-Theft. 4th of Volume 7. The merchants of Yulan City are mainly located in the inner city. After Luo Feng left the cave, he soon arrived at a nearby merchant. The merchant's internal space is quite vast, with numerous independent spaces. Each independent space displays the remains of low-level chaotic origin life forms. This esteemed guest. The waiter proactively approached. I'll take a look first. Luo Feng wasn't in a hurry to buy, he planned to walk around the entire city before making a purchase. The waiter smiled and said, "This esteemed guest, our family specializes in dealing with low-level chaotic source life remains. These remains can be used for spiritual cultivation, and some large remains can be used for refining equipments, refining medicine, refining the body, and even for refining complete chaotic source bloodline." Luo Feng looked at the densely packed independent spaces, with more than 10 attendants waiting in various places, and the formations were also in operation. We have a total of 11,341 types of remains, all of which are low-level chaotic source life forms. The attendant continued, our family has collected at least 70% of the low-level Xuanhuan races in the Nine Rivers Holy Realm. The bionic eye of destruction at Luo Feng's brows has already been opened, carefully observing each piece of remains. The practitioners of Yulan City have different methods of observation, as long as they don't break the independent space to grab the remains, the attendants won't mind how they observe. The innate chaotic life form, Black Cloud Devouring Beast, is relatively weak in strength during the early stages of the God Emperor. Luo Feng observed. I will use chaotic source lifeform in place of Xuanhuan lifeforms in some paragraphs of the chapters. Chaotic origin space in place of Xuanhuan space. And chaotic source origin crystals in place of Xuanhuan crystals. 12 parts of the Black Cloud Devouring Beast are displayed here for sale, including a scale, a bone, a vial bottle of blood, and so on, suitable for comprehension and cultivation. Each piece is priced between 100 to 500 chaotic source crystals. And as for the massive complete claw that runs through the entire body of a big whale, a fully refined complete bloodline, these three materials are all priced at 20,000 chaotic source crystals. The most precious thing is his complete life core, which requires 100,000 chaotic source crystals. This innate chaotic source life core is actually intact. Luo Feng said, somewhat surprised. Innate chaotic source beings have a life core, just like the source world has an origin land. This life core is akin to the core of the innate Xuanhuan beings. Once destroyed, they will perish too. This is also the most common method of killing. It is quite rare to be able to kill them while preserving the life core. Such an innate chaotic source life form is being dismantled and sold. Luo Feng thought to himself. Extracted for bloodlines, used for medicine, forged into weapons. Each with different purposes. However, it's quite normal. Practitioners grope in the dark for their cultivation, and the best way to break free from their confines is to study these innate chaotic source beings who have already escaped from the cage. Luo Feng strolled from shop to shop. No matter which one he went to, because Luo Feng had reached the early stage of the God Emperor realm, the attendants of these merchants were all very enthusiastic. Secret weapon treasures. Luo Feng also saw the prices of various treasures. Secret treasures like those in the early stage God Emperor are generally meant for used by beings at the ultimate realm level of God King. With just a casual strike, Luo Feng's power is already much stronger than those treasures. The price of those treasures usually starts at 2,000 chaotic source crystals. The prices of weapons and treasures of different levels, such as mid-stage God Emperors, late-stage God Emperors, and perfected God Emperors, naturally continue to soar. For example, innate treasures are even more expensive. Turns out I'm very wealthy. Luo Feng was secretly astonished when he saw the price of the innate treasure, realizing the high value of the innate treasure's palm realm. Of course, this treasure is used to protect the Daohe sect on one hand, but on the other hand, my own strength is still too weak, so it's not suitable to bring it outside yet. Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, no matter which city, there are always those who kill, plunder, and steal. A servant said. This spatial secret treasure, the illusory realm labyrinth, can merge with the body. This treasure is hidden inside the body, and very few in the Nine Rivers Holy Realm can steal it. Almost all powerful God Emperors have one. Illusory realm labyrinth. Luo Feng looked at this treasure and asked, what's the price? Not expensive, 100,000 chaotic source crystals each. The entire Nine Rivers Holy Realm has the same price for this treasure. The attendant said with a smile. Luo Feng turned around and left. Even the slightly more established god emperors can afford it, but Luo Feng had just arrived in the Nine Rivers Holy Realm, and the 100,000 chaotic source crystals he had were borrowed from Di Qing. Why would he use them to buy a spatial storage item just to prevent theft? Auxiliary cultivation treasures, there are so many. Luo Feng looked at the various rare items. The rare treasures of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm are all extracted from the essence of the bodies of innate Xuanhuan life forms. Consuming them is beneficial for cultivation. Their effects far surpass those of Xuanhuan crystals, but the better the rare treasure, the higher the price. This treasure is called the Shadowless Divine Weapon. It can inscribe any kind of secret text. As long as the text is inscribed accurately, it can immediately mimic any kind of treasure. Once you have it, you can try inscribing one treasure after another, and switch between them at any time. The attendant said enthusiastically. On one hand, it is suitable for combat, and on the other hand, it is also suitable for verifying your spiritual cultivation. Luo Feng felt his heart race upon hearing it. Some of my insights on the deep patterns of the Eye of Life and Death of the Star Tower can be tried to be inscribed. What price? Luo Feng asked. 50 million Xuanhuan crystals for one portion. The waiter grinned. A number that made Luo Feng's heart tremble was revealed. It's more expensive than many innate treasures. Luo Feng couldn't help but say, many perfect-grade God Emperor treasures only cost a few million. With the price of the Shadowless Divine Weapon, you could buy a whole set of perfect-grade God Emperor treasures. The attendant smiled and said, those powerful God Emperors, many of them possess world-class chaotic source life remnants. They comprehend the mysteries of the remnants and inscribe them into their shadowless divine weapons, which can verify their understanding. This is not something a set of God Emperor perfect level treasures can compare to. Luo Feng sighed inwardly. There are too many temptations. Luo Feng saw a lot of auxiliary treasures, suitable for Tao of life, destruction, and even the fusion of life and death, some innate chaotic source life form remnants, as well as some suitable secret treasures. But I'm too poor. There's no rush. On the first day, we'll just stroll around Yulan City, and on the second day, we'll make our purchase. Luo Feng was very patient, he wasn't short on time. He discovered that some renowned treasures, such as the Formless Divine Weapon and the Illusion Labyrinth, often had same prices among many merchants. However, for items like remnants, the prices varied from merchant to merchant, with some willing to sell at lower prices. Luo Feng has to figure out how to buy enough suitable items for his cultivation at a lower price. Poor. So poor, don't even mention 100,000 chaotic source crystals, even a billion chaotic source crystals wouldn't be enough for me. Luo Feng flew within Yulan City, and at a glance, there were also many cultivators around. Luo Feng did not notice a small figure in the distance. The short figure saw Luo Feng in the distance and couldn't help but chuckle. Luo Feng, a newly arrived early-stage God Emperor. The short figure's mind moved, and had already taken action. Luo Feng flew over the inner city, where hidden dragons and crouching tigers were everywhere. There were hundreds of elders hiding in the inner city area, and had been maintaining the defense system of Yulan City. The operation of various defense systems put pressure on Luo Feng as well. Buzz. It was as if a gust of wind had blown through Luo Feng. What's going on? Luo Feng was taken aback. It seems like a gust of wind. But Luo Feng vaguely felt something was off. It seems like someone tried to attack me, but it also seems like they didn't. Luo Feng himself wasn't sure, slightly furrowing his brows, looking around, becoming increasingly vigilant and on guard. In the distance, the short figure was quite surprised. This newcomer doesn't seem much like a traditional enlightened being. There's a hint of a lower-level Xuanhuan life about him. He has turned his body into a world body, hiding a world within, with treasures concealed inside that world. Although the practitioners of the Xuanhuan bloodline might have more explosive combat power and their physical bodies are also very strong, their self-control is not that perfect. This body of Luo Feng's felt to him like a complete and vast world. Even though his secret techniques, while remaining concealed, swept across Luo Feng's entire being, it could not forcibly penetrate a single world. Do you think hiding in the world will save you? The short figure coldly laughed, opened his mouth, and a blood-red worm flew out. Good baby, go to his world and take all the treasures. With a thought, the small figure took control, and the blood-colored worm struck again. The stealthy theft failed. Then, let's steal it forcefully. Whoosh, the blood-colored worm instantly vanished, ignoring the obstruction of Luo Feng's physical body, and burrowed into Luo Feng's inner world. Luo Feng, who was on high alert in the distance, immediately noticed. The 9 Xuanhuan bloodline life forms he refined on his home continent, he selected 5 of them, which also serve as his 5 clones for navigating the 9 rivers sacred realm and dealing with various dangerous situations. What he usually manifests outwardly are the 5 clones of the world clones. This doppelganger has tough skin, immense strength, and resilient vitality, capable of handling many adverse situations. This clone has an inner world and is most similar to the life forms of the original world. The more energy it has, the stronger its power. Therefore, the world clone has 100 times the energy reserve of a perfect body. The energy reserves of the other 4 clones aren't too high either. Chi, the invisible wave instantly penetrated the inner world, and the inner world naturally sensed it. The stronger the world clone, the more stable the inner world becomes. Quite sturdy, but unfortunately, my little treasure is best at devouring space. The blood-red worm erupted instantly, a wave sweeping across the entire inner world, aiming to seize all the treasures within. In the inner world, at this moment, 4 other clones are sitting cross-legged. Each of these clones looks exactly like Luo Feng, but their robes are of different colors. Snort. The Heavenly Emperor's clone let out a cold snort, and in an instant, it completely dispersed, merging with the entire inner world. Harmonize with heaven and earth. The world membrane wall is like the flesh of the Heavenly Emperor's clone, the mysteries of the Heavenly Emperor's clone and the Heavenly Emperor's world perfectly merged, and their power surges dramatically. The blood-colored worm felt that the already terrifying internal world had suddenly increased its pressure and binding force by more than 10 times. For him, it was as if he could easily navigate through the water before, but now it feels like he's stuck in glue, completely immobilized. His inner world doesn't have any treasures either. The blood-colored worm used its secret technique to sweep through the entire inner world, only to find it was still empty. Want to steal? The remaining 3 clones in the inner world all looked at him. Those 5,000 Xuanhuan crystals are carried by the time clone. The time clone exists simultaneously in the past, present, and future, and the 5,000 Xuanhuan crystals are currently stored in the future version of the time clone. My 5,000 Xuanhuan crystals are hidden in my inner world, guarded by my time clone, and they are stored in the future self of the time clone. The inner world is also protected by the Emperor of Heaven's clone. If they can be stolen like this, I have nothing to say, just consider it as paying tuition. Luo Feng had been warned earlier, so he was naturally very cautious and alert. Who said he was a traditional enlightened one? The blood-red worm, sensing the situation was not in its favor, instantly hid and disappeared. Bang! He crashed into the membrane wall of the inner world but couldn't break through. After the integration of the inner world and the Heavenly Emperor's clone, the strength of the world membrane wall increased by more than 10 times. No, I can get in, but can't get out. The blood-red worm immediately realized that something was wrong. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe. MTL World at MTL World 1 YouTube channel.